This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. If you like what you see, click on the link below this video and put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get yourself a 20% discount. Now this year is already whizzing by, huh? You're a year closer to retirement, but are your savings a year closer? If they're not and you're worried that you won't make it, get in touch with Noble Gold about putting precious metals in your IRA or 401k. You won't get hassled, they'll just lay out your options. And this month they're gifting a 1/10 ounce solid gold American Eagle coin with any qualifying plan that you start. And all you got to do is call 877-646-5347 or you can visit noblegoldinvestments.com. That is noblegoldinvestments.com. Now, let's get to this video.
On Fox is Janine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what?
Ayo, Green. I feel like I'm turning green too. Ayo, Green. I feel like I'm turning green too. From Bill Bixby to some incredible hope.
What does that even mean?
Well, she wants to know why I'm talking about the consequences of soft on crime. Well, I'm talking about the consequences of the Democrat, liberal, progressive, leftist, soft on crime, criminal-loving, victim-hating group that has made a decision that no bail, no jail, and that criminals that should be privileged, and that social justice and rogue prosecutors should not be a part of the criminal justice system. Jen, are you so locked up in your ivory tower that you have no idea what Americans really care about and what they're concerned about?
The system continues to fail us. We are not safe anymore, not even the members of the service. I know you were tired of these laws, especially the ones from the new DA. I hope he's watching you speak through me right now.
Secretary Jen Psaki laughing off the American crime crisis, implying it's not even real. The Fraternal Order of Police is now calling out the White House and demanding an apology.
Right? So there's an alternate universe.
What I was speaking to was a chyron on Fox News, since you raised it, which suggested this administration is soft on crime with no basis.
Correct their force at peaceful protesters.
The vast majority of the protests have been peaceful.
And they're going and just pulling people off the street to make it seem like there are problems going on when all that's happening are peaceful protests. And our peaceful protesters' ability to get out at night?
Most of these protests have been peaceful.
I applaud these protesters. The majority of these protesters are peaceful. They have been peaceful for weeks.
It has continued, for the most part, peaceful.
It was peaceful. We had a number of peaceful protests.
Stats don't lie. Homicides in major American cities are up 44% compared to 2 years ago. And big part of the problem are the radical policies of the liberal DAs across the country. Lawrence Jones interviewing one deputy DA, calling out his boss, LA District Attorney George Gascon.
I guess my big question is he upholding state and federal law right now?
No, absolutely not. Our district attorney is nullifying important laws, and he's doing it explicitly and unapologetically. He's not charging special circumstances. He's not charging gun allegations. He's not charging gang allegations. He eviscerated the gang unit that we had to suppress gang crime in this county. Because he wants to see fewer people go to jail and prison.
Tonight, a second suspect has been caught in connection with that deadly shooting of a police officer in Bradley.
The suspects wanted for the fatal shooting of 49-year-old Bradley Police Sergeant Marlene Rittmanette and attempted murder of 27-year-old Tyler Bailey.
Apparently, the Biden administration thinks being soft on crime is funny, and the growing list of victims who suffered for it are the butt of the joke. At least that's how it sounded when Jen Psaki laughed off the lax crime policies that have led to the victimization and even death of countless people from New York City to Los Angeles and just about every Democrat stronghold in between. Because to her, these faces are a joke. They're expendable. They're nothing but a chance to mock a news network she doesn't like to protect a political party that doesn't care. So for the rest of you, who maybe don't think that a kid's bloody body is just a pile of chuckles, here's what soft on crime means, because it's real and it kills.
If you look at Fox on a daily basis, I mean, do you remember the 4 boxes that we had on all the TVs, right? Which is on my TV right now. So right now, just to give you a sense, so CNN, Pentagon, as many as 8,500 U.S. troops on heightened alert. Okay, true. Same on MSNBC. CNBC is doing their own thing about the market. And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean, what does that even mean, right? So there's an alternate universe on some coverage. What's scary about it is a lot of people watch that.
Hilarious. What's soft on crime? That's not in my giant binder of bullcrap talking points. Soft on crime means a 16-year-old aspiring rapper named Cameron Williams who's been charged with shooting a cop and who's now out on bond despite having been gotten caught twice now with illegally possessing a firearm. He's also been charged with assault after getting into a fight with 27-year-old NYPD officer Kasim Pennant and shooting him when the handgun in Williams' pocket went off during the scuffle. But instead of being held for being a dangerous, violent criminal walking around with illegal guns, he posted his $250,000 bond and left the juvenile detention facility around 7 p.m. on Friday. His lawyer says that while he waits for his day in court, he'll get back to his life and focus on his music. Another felon, 23-year-old Jetron Rodthong, was out on bond after having been charged with resisting or obstructing officers, bail jumping, driving or operating a vehicle without the owner's consent, and drug possession when he shot and wounded a Milwaukee cop on Thursday. 26-year-old Herbert Davis was just responding to a call about a potentially sick or injured person when he found this guy slumped over the wheel of a car. The felon then tried to flee the vehicle and shot Davis in the process. For 16-year-old Diamond Alvarez, a Houston teen who died after being shot 22 times in the back by her 17-year-old boyfriend while she was out walking her dog. He walked out of jail Wednesday after posting a $250,000 bond and having spent exactly 2 days in jail. A man indicted for tampering with evidence in a mass shooting in Texas last June has also been released on bond. 18-year-old Jeremiah Tabb walked out of jail last Thursday with an ankle monitor. Despite having reportedly tried to dispose of the gun the shooter used to kill one and wound 14 others on a shooting on 6th Street. A 40-year-old Texas woman named Lavilla Spry was released on bond last week after allegedly hitting and killing Sergeant Ramon Gutierrez with her car before fleeing the scene. She has been charged with intoxication manslaughter of a peace officer, failure to stop and render aid resulting in death, and evading in a motor vehicle. But she bonded out on $275,000 on Wednesday. A shocking rise in violent crime across America's cities is leaving a string of dead cops and kids in its wake. While woke politicians and bureaucrats implement policies to downgrade certain crimes, lessen sentences, and instruct prosecutors not to seek prison time for many offenses. Soft on crime is when California passes a law in 2014 that downgrades thefts of less than $950 to misdemeanors and then rarely arrests the thieves.
Normal people read that San Francisco has basically legalized shoplifting. They think Democrats have gone nuts. They think, you know, that Ted Cruz guy seems like a real stiff. But at least he believes in the concept of shopping with money.
And now gangs of criminals smash and loot high-end stores in San Francisco and raid trains for Amazon deliveries in LA because why not? Soft on crime is when 24-year-old Brianna Cookfer was stabbed to death for no reason at all while working at a department store in LA by Sean Laval Smith, who'd been arrested for theft but got out on a ticket in October because California politicians don't care about robbery anymore. He then went out and stabbed this poor girl to death because some people are just hateful and violent. A few weeks before, a 14-year-old girl was killed by a stray bullet from a police officer who was trying to stop a guy who had just assaulted a 70-year-old woman with a bike lock. Remember Daryl Brooks, who killed 6 people and injured dozens more after mowing down a Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin in November? He'd been out of jail for 5 whole days on a $1,000 cash bail after reportedly running over a woman with an SUV. That same SUV he then used to plow through a parade and kill half a dozen people, including 8-year-old Jackson Sparks, and injured 60 more, including 18 kids.
And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean,
what does that even mean?
These images come in stark contrast. So there's largely been peaceful demonstrations over the course of the afternoon and into the evening. We did see peaceful protesters earlier in the evening yesterday. Demonstrations that were largely peaceful during the daytime that tended to get a little bit more contentious and even violent at times at night.
Peaceful protests turned violent once the citywide curfew set in.
The peaceful protest that gave way to the burning buildings and to the destruction in the evening. Peaceful protests during the day turned into standoffs with riot police and the National Guard last night. We saw vehicles being lit on fire.
A Kenosha County supervisor joins me next with his warning not to link the property damage we've seen, the violence at night, with the peaceful protest for justice.
We have seen people peacefully protesting during the day, and then as night comes, you see people start being destructive and clashes between police and protesters.
In this democracy, the commander-in-chief
does not use the men and women of our military who are willing to risk everything to protect our nation as political props to deploy against peaceful protesters on our own soil.
Pepper spray and rubber bullets are used on peaceful protesters for photo ops.
He's the one that's sending troops in to disrupt peaceful protests.
When he tear-gassed peaceful protesters and marched with his men through Lafayette Park, that put the fear in the hearts of a lot of Republicans.
Actions like this, the feds tear-gassing peaceful protesters.
You've also seen peaceful protesters being attacked in multiple cities, and so people are being left with no choice. And when you push individuals too far, that's when society begins to reach a breaking point. Then you also had people like the McCloskeys, who, as you know, were brandishing their weapons, exercising their Second Amendment rights, before peaceful protesters, who they characterized tonight as an angry and violent mob.
Republican National Convention is going to feature a felonious couple that was waving guns at peaceful protesters in front of their home.
Far-right extremists tried to infiltrate protests when groups like the Proud Boys, or as they call them, the Boogaloo Boys, began to also appear at the peaceful Black Lives Matter protests, trying to hijack the agenda, trying to inject violence into it.
You don't really believe that any kind of ratio you could come up with in any way equates the mobs with the legitimate protesters, right? You don't really believe that numerically you had anything. Well, you said they were taken over by mobs. No, the mobs took over the media narrative on the right.
And then on Fox is Janine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean,
what does that even mean?
At 5, thieves stole thousands of dollars worth of sunglasses from a store at the Camarillo outlets over the weekend, but their getaway was delayed by a quick-thinking employee who just locked the crooks inside the store.
All right, another brazen theft at a San Francisco drugstore caught on video. It comes after the governor and local officials pledged to crack down on crime that has forced so many stores to close down.
It's happened again. 4 women run off after stealing from the CVS pharmacy at Van Ness and Jackson in San Francisco, this time just before 6 Monday night. Organized retail theft has become such a hot-button issue that it's now a point of focus in the upcoming gubernatorial recall election.
We begin with that breaking news in San Francisco. It's the first Friday night of the holiday season, and it is chaotic. Take a look. People running in all directions, police officers and security guards also chasing down suspects. We have several clips of video sent to us by terrified eyewitnesses watching all of this unfold. Again, this is in Union Square. Here's what we know. We just got off the phone with SFPD. They say this is still an active crime scene. This started around 8 o'clock this evening with the smash and grab of the Louis Vuitton store there in Union Square. When officers arrived, they say they saw several suspects. Multiple people have been arrested.
Those flash mob robberies, a few popular stores being ambushed across the country, rushed and looted by mobs of people, and all this as the holiday shopping season is picking up.
More retailers are now taking action after this series of really brazen smash and grabs. Thieves are entering stores at all hours of the day, and some are making off with up to $1 million in goods. The latest robbery on Saturday in San Francisco, 80 thieves running into a Nordstrom, stealing goods and smashing shelves. Officers stopping one car, arresting a man and a woman, and then a third suspect was caught on foot. A day earlier, also in San Francisco, more than $1 million in merchandise was stolen after thieves broke into several stores that day. Walgreens is already closing several San Francisco stores after videos of brazen shoplifters went viral, including video appearing to show a man riding his bike out of a store with a bag full of stolen items. And the Chicago area has also been hit hard. Just last week, 14 suspects ran into this Louis Vuitton store, grabbing $120,000 in purses and other items before fleeing in getaway cars. And police say in that case, the store's security guard was on a break.
Back here in San Francisco, where 5 Walgreens stores around the city will be soon closing their doors for good. Brazen robberies like this one have become an epidemic.
Walgreens is blaming the rising cost of organized retail crime.
You need to go, man. You need to leave the store.
This kind of brazen shoplifting at a San Francisco Walgreens is just one example of a trend that's forcing the chain to close stores permanently.
I needed to stay open because now and then I need me some Tums for heartburn. They got a pharmacy up in there. I really love that.
Stunning video. This is going viral in San Francisco. Brazen thieves emptied out the Louis Vuitton store in Union Square. In one video, you see the immediate aftermath of the robbery. In another, you see a suspect wearing multiple COVID masks, walking out with as much merchandise as he can carry.
Michael, they're gonna come and get you. They didn't do anything. Look.
In this case, 3 people walked into the store, grabbed bags that started in price at $850. ran into a waiting sedan and peeled out.
The ripoffs are so bad that Walgreens is diminishing its presence in San Francisco. The company announcing it's closing another 5 stores. Organized theft, they call it, at the San Francisco stores is 5 times the average of any other store. And the company says it's only gotten worse during the past few months.
Mark, TJ Maxx, the latest chain here to be targeted by those brazen thieves. The suspects walking in and simply loading up bags of goods and walking out.
That looks great. Hold on.
Dropping hangers as they make off with their illegal haul. This viral video of another brazen heist is the latest in a growing rash of retail robberies.
It's pretty scary. It's scary because they're just so brazen now, and they're just, you know, it's things that I've never seen in my life before, and it's really, you know, times are changing.
In most cases, employees and customers simply watch in disbelief. Too dangerous to try to stop the suspects. A Rite Aid clerk in Glassell Park lost his life, shot and killed by 2 thieves.
Organized crime, retail theft has become a $30 billion criminal industry that often uses the illicit proceeds that they get from that to fund other crimes.
Look at that. Police and retailers blaming the state's lax penalties for the surging smash and grab crimes. Opponents of the governor, who is facing a recall election, taking aim at his record on crime.
Thieves are robbing stores without consequence. People are getting mugged on the streets, and murders are at a 13-year high. What has Gavin Newsom done about it? He supported decriminalizing theft.
What does that even mean?
There was a New York Times article just came out about the crime surge that we're dealing with right now all throughout American cities. Crime is going through the roof. And they just can't understand why. The left last year defunded the police, tried to abolish the police in some cases, let criminals off the hook for their crimes, let a lot of criminals out of jail, and said that they wouldn't enforce the law. And now crime is going up. It's a real head scratcher. I can't, maybe it's something about the virus. I don't know. Maybe that's a symptom of COVID as people get more violent. So the New York Times can't make sense of this. The closest they get is they say, quote, the fallout from the 2020 racial justice protests and riots could have contributed to the murder spike. Police officers, scared of being caught in the next viral video, may have pulled back on proactive anti-violence practices. I guess every word there is English, but when you put it all together, that doesn't seem to make a coherent sentence. It's just a bunch of pretentious jargon and mealy-mouthed language trying to avoid something. I guess, they're trying to avoid the obvious, which is if you want crime to go down, I'll simplify this as best I can. Want crime down? Arrest criminals. Crime go down, criminals go prison.
And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean,
what does that even mean?
As for crime, let's take the murder rate, for example. It's the highest it's been in 25 years. The vast majority of our big cities, ironically all run by people of a certain political persuasion, saw record highs in homicides. 12 major cities hit all-time homicide records last year, according to ABC News, and they reported that with 3 weeks left to go in 2021. Portland, Oregon, Tucson, Arizona, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Austin, Texas, St. Paul, Minnesota, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, Louisville, Kentucky, Toledo, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, Rochester, New York, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania were all reported to have broken homicide records. Oh, and every single one of those cities, you guessed it, all run by Democrats.
And then on Fox is Jeanine Pirro talking about soft on crime consequences. I mean,
what does that even mean?
Now, God bless y'all. Don't forget to hit that like button, share my videos. Also, don't forget to donate if you like Kevin's Corner. There are links in the bottom of this video. Check out Extreme Teas, my sponsor. If you like the products, put Kevin in the promo code. You'll get a 20% discount. And what else? Oh, find me on Rumble in the Jungle. All right, God bless you all next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.